Welcome everyone to the Pro Trade Room Plus and the Bank of Canada rate decision, ISM services. My name is Lee Goldstein, the trading director for 10-minute trades. I'm not a financial advisor. It is possible to lose money trading futures. All the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. Okay, let's get started, everyone. It feels like we were just here. So we have a collection of events. We've got the Bank of Canada rate statement. That's at 9:45. And also at 9:45 is the final services report. That's a smallish report that actually, historically, there are two ISM reports, ISM manufacturing and ISM services. They're generally 2 days apart over the year. What we're seeing also is before those reports, ISM manufacturing 15 minutes prior, there's a final manufacturing report that hasn't had much impact on the markets lately. And then before ISM services, there's a final services report. That has had a little bit more of an impact over the past couple of months as we've been watching it. Years ago, we used to try to trade those reports. And they just, there was a time where they moved better than they're moving now. Nowadays, we just are aware that they take place, but we don't do anything with them. We do have the Bank of Canada, which is an extremely poor event. It doesn't have a history of really doing much. Let me see if what the DMM looks like. Let's look at the daily trade report. I do want to say hello to everyone that's watching us on YouTube this morning. So thanks for joining. Hit that like button. That helps us. So they say anyway. So it's supposed to help us with the algorithm. Who knows anymore? Who knows? Who knows where the time goes? Who wrote that song? I don't know. Who knows where the time goes? That's definitely a song. I don't remember who wrote it. Now I'm got to find out. Who knows where the time goes? Fairport Convention, 1969. Oh my God. Somebody kill me, please. I remember Fairport Convention. I don't remember the song. I just remember the lyrics. All right. Canada rate statements. I'm going to trade it in a prop account that I haven't been using much yet. I would not trade it in an account that's really up. Um, I don't really expect much from it. It's not been a very good trade. I mean, that's the reality. It just hasn't been very good. We have a video. Let's take a look what happened last session, last month. It traded April 16th, 2 months, almost 2 months ago. Not quite, month and a half. Now, we did increase the second tier because of market volatility. When you look at this spike sheet, um, it had a decent move in December. In March, it had a decent move and very poor reversal. It had a poor reversal and a poor move in January. Um, I mean, you look at the history. I'm looking at the history of the report. It's got a fair amount of inconsistency. It's got a few reports that didn't fill and didn't have much of an impact. So it's a fairly inconsistent report. Um, the spike sheet, in all seriousness, You're better off not getting filled than getting stopped. That's always the way to trade these. And I think that what I'll do is actually, if I'm going to trade it, I'll use the bigger tier, the 35 instead of 25 on tier 2. In December, it moved 48. July, it moved 35. June 44. March 40. There is some history of bigger moves than expected. It's been lousy lately. That's the truth. The recent reports have just not been moving much, other than December. Um, in April, here's what happened. I think my memory is that April was a pretty good trap, that it made money. It was a great trap trade. It was a great trap trade. And the bigger tiers worked. So I think I'll go. I don't think the markets are nearly as volatile as they were um, last month or in April when we were trading this. I'm just thinking out loud, folks. If we look at the 6C, the Canadian dollar futures, and we put I want to put the indicator, net change display, on ticks. It's pretty quiet. It's pretty quiet. That's the truth. If they shock the market and change the rate, which is not expected, that could ruin the trap. Okay, but otherwise, the Canadian dollar futures, they haven't been moving hardly at all since last night. Let's double check that. Well, here's why it's a little bit deceptive to just look at the net change display indicator to decide if something's volatile or not. It's just not looking super volatile because when the market opened, it was not so far away from where it is now. But there has been some market movement in this instrument. And in fact, since 2 in the morning, let's see, how much has it moved? Not that much. 39 ticks. Not that volatile. Not that volatile. I think that our smaller setup is safe if you're going to trade it. I think the reality is this is a very poor performing trade overall. It had one really good one last month because we increased the tiers. I don't think the increased tiers are needed today. I'll trade it. Like I said, I'll trade it in one of my prop accounts. That's a pretty fresh account. It's not, it's $5 a tick, so your life is not going to end if the trade doesn't work. I'm going to trigger at 9:44:55. I'm going to use a stop of 25 ticks, and my tier 1 is going to be 18. I'm thinking out loud, folks. I'm going to make my tier 1 15. My tier 2 is going to be 25. 15 and 25 with a stop of 25. If it moves more than 50 ticks on the news, we'll get stopped. If it spikes more than 50 ticks, we will get stopped. All right? That is not to be expected. It hasn't moved 50 ticks since the market opened pretty much last evening. Or let's say we looked at 2 a.m. Since 2 a.m., there's just been not that much movement. Now, look, the market could be waiting for this report. If they change the rates, then there could be a big move. If they leave everything alone, then we're probably just not going to get that big of a move. The account that I'm willing to trade it in is number 15, which is a pretty quiet account right now. It's new. It's got a $90 profit on it today, but it's just barely a $50,000 account, meaning it's really a $2,500 account because that's how prop accounts work. There's no such thing as a $50,000 account. It's ludicrous. They should just make it a $3,000 account and be honest and real about it, but they don't. That's life. Um, Markets are getting ready to open. Let me go over that settings one more. Canada's trap trade. Now, if this was a great trade, I would add more contracts to the tiers. Position size 1, I might make 3. Position size 2, I might make 2. But we've had one good report in ages. Position 1 is a 1, position 2 is a 1. Activating at 9:44:55. Stop is 25. Tiers of 15 and 25. Stop of 25. And I will trade it in a prop. Might as well. And then we want to kind of start getting ready for ISM. ISM services is an interesting trade. Markets are getting ready to. ES is a little bit up right now, 6 points. It was bad news on that ADP report. Now the market sold off pretty strongly on the news, but it has come back a bit. More than halfway. Okay? I mean, it's almost come back all the way. I think this ES market is going to test the high of day on the open. I don't think I have time to set up a reverse continue on the open, but I'm trying. You could set up a magnet also. Market's open. So, and I'm just setting up that ES reverse continue also for the ISM event. So market's opening. You're in the middle. The ES is in a fairly tight range this morning. If you notice, the high of the day is right above us, and the low of the day is not that far away. The market's just not that big of a range today. And I'm trying to think, there's no monstrous news today that's so important that the market's, waiting to explode. Really, we just have the beige book. We have ISM services. I think the market's going to go test that high. That's my gut feeling. Do I want to risk it? What account did I just trade it in? 12. So if I think that's really going to happen, I would keep probably both my orders fairly close. I'd want to be under this structure right there if it fails. And I'm not even sure I really want to be in this trade because I've got to concentrate on that Canadian trade. So I think I'll just take myself out. If it goes up a little bit, I'll just take a tiny I don't really want to be in this trade right now, so let's see if it'll just pop up and hit this target for a couple of bucks or just stop me out for a small loss. I want to concentrate on Canada and ISM, honestly. So I'll just leave that MES alone. And then we'll use the reverse continue really for ISM. Okay. So the Canadian trap is set up, and then ISM, you can't help watch a trade even if it's like a $5 winner. That was like a $5, a $7 trade. All right, but that's fine. I think it's going to test that high, but I don't, it's not the right time for me to trade right now. I can't concentrate on it. Okay, so we've got the trap at 9:45. We've got the final services, which is also going to take place at 9:45. And we do have an MNQ setup, which is our strongest setup at the moment. Let's look at the DMM for ISM services, which is the real reason we're here. Well, that's not really fair to say. We're here because there are events. ISM services has been trading pretty darn well with gold also. It has been a good breakout trade with gold. Now, I would swear let's look at last month on gold. So last month, now the gold breakout, I'm watching the MNQ went up and was a winner, and the gold breakout was also a winner. The MNQ was a winner, the gold breakout was a winner. Looking at ISM in April, notice there was some freezing, data feed freezing on gold in April. The MNQ worked again, and the gold trade was a real data feed problem for me. You could see it stayed frozen for quite a while there. Let's see, did it eventually? I had to reboot to fix that. Let me see what that gold breakout looked like. The gold breakout is in the center. So it looked like an unsafe gold breakout on that trade. That's the problem. It was an unsafe trade. And that was a spurious order that was left on. And the MNQ made money. The MNQ breakout made money. So there's the ES test of that high. So I'm turning off that ES for a moment. And I need a gold chart and an MNQ chart for ISM services. So it's all about what you want to risk today. Do you want to give back your profits if ISM doesn't work? A lot of people made nice money on the ADP report. If you don't want to give back your profits, just trade the MNQ setup. That's one way to deal with that. You could trade lower risk setup. No issue there at all. I would probably, I mean, that's the decision. It's really not that big a deal. I'll trade that gold setup. I'll trade the gold breakout. So the gold setup on ISM is a breakout. It's going to trigger at 9:59.59, and I'm keeping an eye on Canada. We know we have Canada at 9:45. 9:59.59. Our bracket is 20 on ISM, and we've got targets of 15 and 30. 30 might be a little small if it's a phenomenal move. So I'm going to probably use a little bit bigger. Break even -5 if it hits my first target. The stop is 25. It's a pretty straight ahead gold breakout. Okay, it's not nothing fancy, and it's been trading pretty well. Last month it was an anomaly size almost, although in January it had a very big spike. But it did look like it was an unsafe trade. That was April that it was unsafe. Last month it was a big move. So 9:59.59 bracket of 20 targets. Really, you could go 15 and 50. Be prepared to manage with a stop of 25. Going to check the bracket integrity. Okay, bracket integrity looks pretty good. Maybe a tiny bit big. Gonna put the time back to 9:59.59. Breakout is labeled. And then my ES chart is going to become an MNQ chart. Let's set up the MNQ. MNQ 0625. Markets made new highs. The question is the 30 bracket safe? That's the question. Is the market too volatile for a 30 bracket? 9:59.59 on the trigger. Right now we'll leave the bracket at 30. Targets. Now the NQ has had some pretty big moves. You know, you can go with targets anywhere between 20 and 100, believe it or not. We've had 200 tick moves on this report. It does tend to reverse fairly quickly, so you do want to be careful. I'm going to use the break even, but I'll go right to break even if it hits the first target. Right now the stop is 100. It's MNQ, okay? So if you want to trade a couple of extra contracts, it's only 50 cents a tick. So right now I'm just going to leave it. I'll finish setting it up. Let's go watch the news that's releasing right now. We don't have to finish. And the MNQ. Right now we've got a couple of minutes and we've got our trap trade. Going to trade over here. And we have that final services report that has no bearing on the ISM services. They're not related in terms of the data is not the same. They're completely different. Okay. Now, this morning, for everyone watching on YouTube, we had three different setups for the ADP report. We had a reversal that made money on the ES. We had a trap trade on gold that made a couple of bucks, and we had a great breakout on gold. So everybody made money already this morning trading the ADP report. All right, so this Canada report, like I said, has not been real good. So let's see. If it doesn't fill reasonably quickly, I may just cancel it. All right. How do you cancel a trap trade? You got to cancel a trap trade by unchecking the checkbox in the control panel. That's the best way to cancel a trap trade. Don't click the X's. All right. Don't click the X's because that'll just remove orders. It won't actually cancel the trade. 1 minute. It's anticipated they will keep the rate the same at 2.75. Our orders will show up on the chart 5 seconds prior to the news event. Here come our orders. All right, it filled short, one tier so far. If we get a reversal, I will cancel the outer tier when I can get my stop to safety, which is now. I'm going to move my stop to safety. And now let's see if we can get a reversal. I will trail if we get a continued reversal. If not, it'll just be a tiny, tiny profit. If the price doesn't reverse, it'll be a tiny profit because my stop is safe. So each tick it reverses, I'll bring my stop down. My target, I'll bring right above the VWAP. That kind of makes sense. It's only $5 a tick. All right. Now, look, if this is the second month in a row and we're getting, a Bank of Canada trap trade that's working even for a small profit, but it's starting to work, you can add contracts without all that much risk, right? It's not the end of the world. Now, I'd rather not spend an hour in this trade because we do have ISM, which is much more important. Just watching, folks. Now, we were finishing setting up the MNQ, so let's do that. Let me just get my gold. First, I had my gold breakout. My gold breakout is in the middle, 959.59, 959.59. Activation 20 bracket, targets anywhere between 10, what do we say, 10 and 50-ish, 25 stop, and we checked our bracket. Just have to put it on the right account, okay it, put it on a prop account, and can turn it on. So the gold breakout is ready. Going to the top of the candle in Canada trade. And then our MNQ trade is a breakout. And the targets, so this could move, all right? It could be fairly big. So wait, that's my reversal. Let me get my breakout properly. 959.59. We're going to take a look and see if our bracket of 30 is acceptable. Targets, you can do targets anywhere between 20 and 100 ticks. I don't think that's unreasonable. The stop is 100, and then we have a break even. Target one stop move goes to break even. So I'm going to set the time to 0 for a moment. Make sure it's labeled MNQ breakout. And put the chart is on sim, apply it, okay it. Looking to just look at the brackets. The bracket management, we call it, the width of the bracket, to see if we can survive a 30 bracket. It looks like we might be able to survive a 30 bracket. This Canada trade, I kind of want out of this Canada trade, but I just have to make sure I don't trade it. I don't want to trade it in the same account, I don't think. So the MNQ, I want to look at those brackets one more time. It's a tiny bit tight. I'm going to use a 35 bracket on the MNQ. All right, so the MNQ breakout is set. Let me just figure out what account I want to trade it in. My coffee's in the way. Okay, so MNQ breakout. Hang on. I don't want it on 12. Bear with me one second, folks. Don't forget to set your time back on the MNQ to 9:59:59. Now the NQ is selling off. There's must be some news going on right now. and I'm looking to see if I see it. I don't see um, Canadian. Putin is talking. And they're not, the Russian foreign minister is not saying great things. They're saying things that I think the market doesn't like. Um, what he's saying is all means, including negotiations, should be used to achieve goals of the military operation in Ukraine. So I don't want to trade. Okay, I'm going to close out my Canada trade or make it real tiny. Okay, Canada's over. And that was a small little trade, perfectly fine. Going to close it out. I'm going to move my Q trade over to that chart. It's a more manageable chart. And now we can trade it. I'll trade it in that same account. So I'm going to get rid of the MNQ over here. I'm going to put it over here. So MNQ breakout for ISM 959. I don't mind doing 58 on the trigger. 58 or 59 is usually good. Bracket of 35. We're going to look at that again. And we had targets, anywhere between 20 and 100. Really, you can get a pretty big move on this. It's MNQ, 50 cents a tick. I'm going to go to break even. If it hits my first target, 100 tick stop. I'm going to label it MNQ breakout. And then we're going to check that MNQ breakout by triggering the software at 0 time. I want to look at the volatility of the brackets, how wide they are for setting up the trade, managing the trade. That's a little bit tight, so I'm going to spread it. Okay, using a 35 bracket, I think that should be okay. I'll stay with that. Okay, so we've got our MNQ set up. We've got to set the time properly. Don't forget to reset your time back. 9:59. We have 5 minutes. All right, finally. So we got that going. We have our breakout going. And you can do an MES. I had an MES reversal all the way on the right there. So I'll just leave that because it was set up before. That's what we traded the low of the day on. So we'll leave that alone. I just want to make sure my software matches where I'm trading it and it's labeled MES. All right, a lot of crazy setup. Sorry about that. A little bit crazy setup. too many charts. All right, the main trades are going to be the gold breakout in the middle. Like to see ISM work on gold. When you look at the DMM, it's had very good behavior on gold. Over the past 6 months, it's had 5 out of 6. All right, everybody good? I hope I didn't confuse everybody too much. I'll have to buy a new phone. My phone just doesn't work anymore. The trap trade does not test well on gold on this report. The moves have been too big, MB. Better off with the MNQ. If you don't like the gold breakout, definitely just don't trade it for real. The bracket's not that big. A 20 bracket, not very big, but there's definitely possibility for slippage. It's possible. I would just go with the MNQ to keep your risk low if you don't like the gold setup. But we have tested the gold trap. It was not good on this setup. And it's because the inconsistency in the size of the moves. You know, you've had 100 and more than 100 ticks last month, and then you've had 40s and 50s prior to that. That makes it really difficult to have good tiers. Now, the news, there is a lot of news. I'm bringing it off to the side. I understand this report can have slippage on gold. Definitely don't trade it. If you feel that way about it, let it go by. And don't use gold if you've not had good results with it. Just don't do it. Um, this is a report that it will move the ES also because the NQ moves, everything moves on this kind of a report. It's one of those reports where tons of stuff move. And I agree. I mean, gold has that extra risk because it can be very fast. We'll see what happens to our gold. And the MNQ can be subject to pretty fast, crazy moves also on this report. And we're going to stick around for oil, I believe, right? We'll stick around for the oil inventory. So gold did a pretty crazy, unsafe trade, and it looks like the MNQ is completely frozen. Completely frozen. My MNQ is completely frozen. My gold trade, if it goes up, I think I'll leave it because I'm in a disastrous trade. It's in like it's got a frozen fake order. It's got a frozen fake order. I mean, if I was trading this with cash, it would be a disaster. It's going to blow up this account. I was hoping it would change direction, but it doesn't look like it. It's definitely going to blow this account. I'm going to give it a second to see if it's negative news. It should push gold back up. That's the only reason I'm not closing it out. My MNQ that chart is completely frozen. I'm going to have to reboot Ninja Trader. Now, I'm just wondering, what a mess. Now, cash, Sander was $29. I mean, prop, look at the data feeds. They're an absolute mess. An absolute mess. I'm not going to do anything on this report on this account. I think gold's going to go up, but I'm going to reset. I'm going to reboot my Ninja Trader. So what's interesting, let me just see something if I can make any sense. I'm going to reboot my Ninja Trader. I'll still be in that trade because I need to see what I can't even move any of my charts. This is crazy. That chart moves. This chart doesn't move. I'm sure that I can't close this out even if I wanted to, I bet. I'm going to have to open my R trader probably or I can get out of my Ninja. Let me see what happens. I'll be right back. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to use my task manager to reboot it. Let's see what happens. I've never had anything crazy, this crazy. Let's bring it back and see what happened. It's crazy. So anyone that traded cash sounds like they had no problems. Larry, you traded cash, right? Or did you trade sim? So my gold trade was a losing trade. Okay, that was a losing breakout. I didn't trade my big up account from ADP. I left that account alone. I said I was trading in the newer account on the breakout, and that was a loser on gold. And the MNQ for me was also a loser of about, looks to me like $100 and something. So if cash, people that traded cash made money, it looks like, right? Roz, what happened to you? Roz, what happened to you? Because you're in cash. So, Alfonso, even your cash account froze for a second because it was such a fast move, but you made 125. Larry, were you cash or sim? Okay, Larry, you were sim on it. So, sim doesn't really help us. But it seems like almost everyone that traded cash wound up fine, but everybody but prop was a big problem. Prop was a big problem. So, that was a very unsafe gold move. Now we'll look at the video in a minute. I'm not going to trade another trade right now, but looking at the news, it was completely mixed. So the manufacturing was positive. Let me see what we had. You had non-manufacturing was extremely positive, and then so what you have is mixed news because the PMI was negative, the manufacturing was positive, the orders were negative, and the non-manufacturing was positive. So you had a report that was just a mess in terms of not all the data agreed. And did that create the crazy move? Possible. Absolutely possible. Now the ES looks like it's going to go back and test that low again, doesn't it? It might. But all those setups are not they're not valid now because they got it looks like they were blown out. So the reversal continuation on MES, putting it back. It's too late. I'm never going to catch it. I'm not going to catch it. It's already there. Okay, there it is. And again, like before, I would combine the orders for a test of the low, right? For a test of the low. See if we can grab it a little bit before. Should hit it. Should hit that target. So it hit that target, another small scalp. Looks to me like gold wants to go test the high. So set up, you could set up a quick magnet, you could set up a quick reversal, continue. You can put it on micro gold if you don't want to take a big risk, right? It's up to you. I think it's account 15. MNQ breakout we don't need. I'm not jumping into a gold trade yet. I think it's going to test it. Definitely some risk. Definitely risk. You know, it could be done with the move also. You never know. Momentum is still pretty strong, but price action is just sitting where it is, sitting right where it is. So it looks like everyone trading cash made money and everybody trading prop had disastrous data feed issues. And look, let's be very honest. If we're honest about it, folks, the honesty is it was an ultra crazy. We know. I'm not 100% sure it's fair to say, well, the prop data feeds are horrible. I think the reality is they just can't deal with ultra fast breakouts like that. That's the issue. That's the issue. Is it anybody's fault? No. I think the data just can't keep up. It doesn't keep up. I think that's just the way it is. So see if gold will go test that high or get part of the way. If not, I've done plenty of damage to this account anyway. It's a prop account. This is my point, what I was saying before. I probably wouldn't take the trade in a cash account because I'm not positive about this momentum. I'm just not positive about the momentum. I want to thank everybody for watching on YouTube. That was a strange one, everybody. That was a strange one. Thanks for watching. These are the things that sometimes happen. It happens. You get fast breakouts. Well, very good for you. Very good for you, MB. Glad to see it. Glad to see it. And Peter, thanks for the heads up on your data feed in Australia. Appreciate hearing that. So I'm going to say goodbye to all of our YouTubers. Thanks for watching, everyone. And I think that was our last stream of the week. I think that was our last stream of the week. But thanks for all the comments. Really appreciate it. And that's what we deal with. So I'll see our YouTubers later. If you want to hit that like button, would really appreciate it. Okay, and we're going to stay in the room for oil.